What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Shadowlands video. How are y'all doing? I hope you're doing very well. Listen, this is the third video in the Priest series, Dragonflight Priest Talents. We're going to do Disc Priest today. This is the last spec for Priest, and this one's really, really cool. I mean, I think they're actually all amazing. Honestly, Priest is like looking very strong. There are lots of different kinds of builds. I think there's some incredible potential like compositions that you want to make with a priest, like in a Mythic Plus or in a raid. They have so much hybridity. The tree is made up of such a whole bunch of damage and healing talents that you can really spread it out and say, okay, what do I want my composition in Mythic Plus to look like? Maybe we don't bring a healer, legit. Maybe we bring like a Disc Priest and a Shadow Priest. And between those two guys, they're able to manage the healing needs of the group. Or maybe we just bring a Holy Priest and he just blasts everybody with Holy Fire. If you haven't seen the Holy Priest video, go check that one out. That's the first one in this series. But we've done Holy, we've done Shadow. We're going to do Disc Priest. Let's jump into it, okay? As always with, I think, these kinds of videos, I'm going to start making sure that I show you guys the difference between the current talent system as it is now and the talent system that we are getting in Dragonflight, because people have been worried that we're missing out on Dragonflight, that because they're pruning some of the abilities, our baseline kit abilities are going in here, that we're like losing something from what we had in Shadowlands, and that's just simply not true at all. We are absolutely gaining more power by a long shot. So let me do the class tree really quickly for Disc Priest, how it relates to Disc Priest. Then we'll talk about how the talents, how many talents you can actually get in Dragonflight versus what you can get in Shadowlands. Then I'll do a deep dive on the spec tree. Okay, let's jump into it. So for the class tree, it's interesting. You have some options. Obviously, the left side is all healing. The right side is damage. The middle side is your utility. The middle area is your utility, okay? There's like speed boost here. There's purified disease, power infusion, which, as I've talked about in the last two videos, power infusion plus Twins of the Sun Priestess is completely broken. This is the legendary effect for power infusion, and it's completely busted. It's going to be mandatory for all priests. I'm sorry, guys, if you play Priest and you hate power infusion, but it's staying in the game. And this legendary effect is completely broken. It's so incredibly good. Excuse me. Every priest can bring power infusion into the raid. Every priest can run Twins of the Sun Priestess. That means that the utility that you're bringing to the raid as a priest is going up in a big way. You can now power infuse a different person, and you get 100% of the effect on yourself. That's really powerful, and I think it will increase the likelihood that a priest is brought to things like a raid. But I mean, in Mythic Plus, this is broken, guys. This is so broken. It's really, really good. So that's the first thing I want to mention. All your utilities in the middle if you want to grab it, but I've kind of fleshed out this build that I think is going to be really strong. In particular for Disc Priest, there's a couple of interesting things. Number one, Throes of Pain. Your Shadow Word Pain deals 5% more damage. When an enemy dies while affected by Shadow Word Pain, you gain 10% of your mana. Like, I'm assuming this works with Purge the Wicked, because Purge the Wicked replaces Shadow Word Pain. 10% of your mana when something dies in Mythic Plus? Are you kidding me? You'll never run out of mana. Like, you get to a pack, and you dot up 5 enemies with Shadow Word Pain. Okay? Then you start doing your Atonement, your Rotation. Those guys are all going to die and give you 50% of your mana back. That's way more than it costs to cast, you know, Shadow Word Pain 5 times. So this is completely insane for getting mana back for both Holy Priest and for Disc Priest. I don't know about the insanity gain. 10% seems pretty good, but this is just crazy. It's really, really good. For damage, you're getting Shadow Fiend and you're getting Mindbender for free, which is really good. That, obviously, Mindbender will also heal your allies through Atonement, which is really good. And then you get this legendary effect for Mindbender, which says your Mind Blast and Shadow Word Death will make your Mindbender teleport behind the enemy. This is like the Mythic plus Legendary for Shadow Priest right now, right? Very good. You can get all these buffs to Shadow Word Death up here. You can get a 10-second cooldown reduction on. You can get a 7.5-second cooldown reduction on Mind Blast, which is going to become very substantial when we get to this part of the tree, the Spec tree. So just wait for that. Twist of Fate we're getting for free, which is very substantial because of the talents that we have in a Disc Priest. You have Twist of Fate there in the top row. I was like, it's there somewhere. It's in the top row for Disc Priest, okay? And the current live version says, after healing a target below 35% health, you deal 20% increased damage and 20% increased healing. It's the same thing. However, you just get it for free over here, and you don't have to choose between Castigation and Schism anymore, okay? You can actually get all three of them if you want to. I'll get into that in a minute. But you get Twist of Fate here. There's a Mind Blast damage reduction talent, which is really, really cool. And then there's Masochism, which gives you more defensive power, which is actually very, very strong. Mind Games, which does damage and can proc Atonement Healing, because you just put Atonement on everybody with, like, Radiance. And then your damaging abilities, including Mind Games, will then heal people. And then Mind Games kind of double dips, right? Because if the enemy does damage, it'll heal your allies. And if the enemy heals, it does damage, which then heals your allies. I'm assuming that the procs from Mind Games probably aren't procced with Atonement. But either way, it's a good spell for Disc Priest in particular. This is like the best one of the best Covenant abilities for Disc Priest right now. So that's really cool. If you want to go for a Power Word Shield build, you can come down here. You can get the legendary effect Crystalline Reflection, which heals people and then reflects damage absorbed, which would be like absolutely busted with like Rapture or Spirit Shell. No, just Rapture, sorry, because it's Power Word Shield. If you're doing some sort of Rapture build that's focused on Power Word Shield, your Power Word Shield's casting them also on an ally, also casts it on you. That's a really good effect as well. So you can do like a Smite Power Word Shield build with Mind Games maybe, or you could do like a Smite Mind Games Mind Bender build. There's a couple different paths here for Disc Priest, but the big takeaways here are absolutely broken Power Word Power Infusion Legendary, Mind Bender for free, Mind Games for free, Twist of Fate for free, Mind Blast buff for free, Shadow Word Death. You can do some amazing stuff. If you want to, you could also go over here and get Benediction. I've done that on mine, which again, Power Word, Prayer of Mending and Benediction are just not something that Disc Priest has access to at all right now. So you could do this like, I don't know, just part of your rotation now. You just send out the instant cast Prayer of Mending. It jumps around, and it has a chance to leave a renew on people. That's just free healing, which is kind of cool. And it's not atonement healing. I understand that, but it's just, again, this is sort of some interesting stuff that you could try and do as a Disc Priest to help supplement your healing. And you could maybe go over here and take these so that you could go over here and take some of the shadow stuff over here and do more damage as a Disc Priest. Let's get into the Spec tree right now, because there's some really crazy stuff going on in the Spec tree. I've done all 3 Priest videos today, so my voice is probably going to die just in a bit here, but let's get into it. So this top one is bugged. This is not Purified. This is Atonement. And then you are not actually, look at what it says. Currently, a talent will be replaced and moved to baseline later. So you actually get Purify baseline, which is your Dispel, which is good. So you're going to get Atonement, and then this Purify is going to be something else. We're not really sure what's going to be there, but you have to see. Here's a new talent. It's called Inner Light and Shadow. It's a buff that you keep putting on yourself. You either have the light part of it or the dark part of it, and this is a massive theme for Disc Priest that is represented in the talent tree here, and I'm going to show you this in a second. If you put the inner light buff on, your healing spells cost 15% less mana. Again, more mana saving, right? If you put the inner shadow on, your spell damage goes up by 10%, and your atonement healing goes up by 10%. That's insane. Atonement heals for 50% of the damage you deal right now. This would make it 60%. And you do more spell damage, which means you're healing for more. This essentially means 10% more damage and healing. That's really, really broken. Penance, of course, this is your first choice. You got Solace or Shield Discipline. You can choose whatever you want. Then you have to start going down the light path or the dark path. You get to choose. And really, down the middle of the disc tree, the spec tree, is all the power word shield, DR stuff. So barriers there, pain suppression's there, Sins of the Many is here, Rapture, which is your power word shield stuff. That's all in the middle. On the left side is light, the right side is dark, okay? For the most part. This is interesting. I find with the disc priest tree, you really do have to choose what you want to do because it's so clearly separated in terms of what you want to do. But if you go down the light side, you've got things like Radiance. You can buff the actual healing of Radiance by 20%. Radiance heals an addition or gets an additional charge, which is very good. I think that's baseline right now anyway. Yeah, I have 2 charges on baseline. Then you've got Contrition, which I think is actually garbage. I wish this wasn't here, but that's okay. Sometimes if you want to just heal somebody, you still get atonement healing value. Then you got your Purge the Wicked, which is obviously like Shadow Word Pain, but if you cast Penance on somebody who has Purge the Wicked, it spreads to 1 target. If you get this talent, it now does 20% more damage and spreads to 2 targets, which is very good. And then, like, if you have Atonement out, any damage that all these Purge the Wickeds are doing is obviously healing. So this is like, you got to think of this like a dot that you're putting on enemies and a hot that you're putting on allies, okay? Castigation, Penance fires an additional bolt. Spirit Shell. I'll get into the bottom stuff in a second. Let me talk really quickly about what talents you're able to get here that you do not have access to in Shadowlands Live, right? Let's move over to the gameplay really quick. I want to show you this. So right now we have 7 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? You get 7 talents in total. That's it. Let me show you how many talents you can get over here just on the talent side, the spec talent side, that you can't get in Shadowlands at the same time, right? Obviously at the same time. So row number 1 is Castigation, Twist of Fate, and Schism. Twist of Fate we're getting for free over here. That's 1. Castigation's right here. I can also get Castigation. Schism's over here. I can also get Schism. The build that I've built right here, you can do this build. So I can get all 3 of the first row talents. What's the second row? Body and Soul, which is movement speed. Masochism and Angelic Feather, which is movement speed. Masochism's here. Body and Soul and Angelic Feather here. So I get 2 out of the 3 utility spells. I can take the Masochism for free, which is a huge DR and heal over time. And then I get the speed boost if I want it. Okay? If I want it. Number 3, Shield Discipline, Mindbender, Power Word Solace. Here it is. I can either take Power Word Solace or Shield Discipline, and then I get Mindbender for free if I want it. Right? So 2 out of the 3 there as well. Okay? Then it's Psychic Voice, Dominate Mind, or Shining Force. We have Psychic Voice here, Shining Force here, Dominate Mind is over here. I can get all 3 of those if I want to. Okay? Sins of the Many, Contrition, Shadow Covenant. I've got Shadow Covenant here. We've got Sins of the Many here. We've got Contrition. I can get all 3 of those if I want to. Okay? Purge the Wicked, Divine Star, Halo. Purge the Wicked's here. Divine Star and Halo is a choice. I can get 2 out of the 3 choices here. Then we have Lenience, Spirit Shell, Evangelism. I can get Spirit Shell or Evangelism. So that's, and then I can get Lenience here. So I have to choose 2 out of the 3. Okay? And look at the gameplay again. So look at this. This is crazy. I can get all 3 of these. I can get 2 out of the 3 on here. I can get 2 out of the 3 on here. I can get all 3 of these. I can get all 3 of these. I can get 2 out of the 3 here and 2 out of the 3 here. That's insane. That's so crazy, guys. Instead of 7 choices, I'm looking at like 14 choices just on the talent side. Imagine having Schism and Castigation and Twist of Fate. Imagine having Mindbender and Power Word Solace. Look at the mana you're going to get back from that. Imagine having Masochism, DR, and Healing and a movement speed ability. Imagine having Psychic Voice and Shining Force. 2 more utility spells. Imagine having Sins of the Many and Shadow Covenant now. Or Sins of the Many and Contrition. I can have Purge the Wicked and Divine Star. I can have Lenience for 3% DR and Evangelism. Or Lenience and Spirit Shell. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can have all these different options. It's insane. It's so incredibly powerful. Let me move over here. That being said, what builds are we looking at in terms of like what you could do for the spec side of Disc Priest? First of all, you got Pain Suppression there, down the middle. I'm ignoring the stuff in the middle. I'm not even going to pick Rapture. Just bear with me here. Okay, here's the build. It's a Penance Dark Side of the Moon, whatever that is, Power of the Dark Side Schism build, including Shadow Covenant, which has been changed. Okay? Shadow Covenant on live says, make a Shadowy Pact, healing 5 people in total. For 7 seconds, your Shadow spells deal 25% more damage and healing, but you can't cast Holy spells. That's what it says on live. This one says, make a Shadowy Pact, healing 5 people for 7 seconds. You do 25% more damage and healing, but your Holy spells deal 50% decreased damage and healing. So you're not getting no value. This is a buff to Shadow Covenant, okay? A big buff to Shadow Covenant. Also, you get Schism, of course, which makes you do a lot of damage. It's upfront a ton of damage. And on top of that, you increase your shadow damage, increase your spell damage by 25% for 9 seconds. Then the duration goes up by 50%, so it becomes 13.5 seconds, which is crazy. Okay, 13.5 seconds of more damage, which also equals more healing. Shadow Covenant, as I said, Shadow Covenant lasts 4 seconds longer. Okay, so instead of 7 seconds of doing 25% more spell damage, you now do 13 seconds of 25% more spell damage. Are we seeing a theme here? 25% more damage for 13.5 seconds. 25% more damage for 13 more seconds. Then on top of that, while Shadow Covenant is active, Penance becomes Dark Reprimand, dealing shadow damage over 1.7 seconds, castable while moving. I don't think that is a... I don't even think that's in the game right now, right? I don't see it here. Maybe I'm missing that. You guys can let me know in the comments below. But this is not an effect that's in the game right now, as far as I'm aware. So this is really cool. I don't even know what this quite means. Dark Reprimand, dealing shadow damage over 7 points castable while moving. So very, very cool. But again, it's more Power of the Dark Side stuff. It's more shadow damage. We have 50% shadow damage, basically. Here's the combo. You start off with Shadow Covenant. It lasts for 13 seconds. So you go, boom, Shadow Covenant. Now you do a 25% more shadow damage. You press Schism, which is a shadow spell. Hopefully it procs... Or sorry, while Shadow Covenant is active, your Penance now does shadow damage. Okay? So you're doing 50% more damage. Your Penance does 50% more damage. You have Castigation, so it fires an additional bolt. So it fires 4 bolts, and they all deal shadow damage. And you can hit somebody with Radiance first if you want to. So you go Radiance into Shadow Covenant, into Schism, into Penance. And you're going to do like 50% more damage. And you're going to heal for 50% more because you're doing 50% more damage. It's a truckload, an absolute truckload of damage and healing coming out of this side of the build here. This is all stuff that wasn't really possible before. Very, very cool combination there. Okay? Damage and healing of your first Bolt of Penance is increased by 20%. Power of the Dark Side increases the effectiveness of Penance by an additional 10%. So instead of 50%, it's 60%. You can see the combination there, which is really crazy. Then you come over here and you've got Purge the Wicked for, again, more dot/hots. You have this extra bolt for castigation. I've got Spirit Shell. I could take Evangelism, but I'm going to go Spirit Shell. So my Power Word Radiance and Atonement create Absorbs. So again, you could just combine all that together and create a bunch of absorbs. Of course, you have 10% more damage as well from Inner Shadow if you want that. Then in the final row, you've got things like Barrier, which of course you're going to want to take. You've got things like Humility. Your Smite deals 20% more damage if you have 3 Atonements active. And you have 50% more Smite damage over here already. And if you go all the way down here, you could get Smite cast speed reduced by 20%, which would be really crazy as well. Then you have the bottom row. So again, on the light side of things, your atonements created by Power Word Shield last 2 seconds longer. On the dark side of things, your atonements granted by Shadow Men last 2 seconds longer. Very, very good. And then you could also take Evangelism and get 6-second longer atonements in general. This is interesting. Atonement healing heals for 20% more when activated by Mind Blast. I completely forgot you have Mind Blast, which has got a lower cooldown. So it's like Radiance into Shadow Covenant for 25% more damage, into Schism for 25% more damage, into Mind Blast Penance, right? Insane damage. And if you have this thing down here, your Atonement healing that's activated by Mind Blast is 20% stronger. Once again, so you're getting lots of healing out of it too. Not just lots of damage, but lots of healing. Over here is an interesting little thing. Your Shadow Word Death damage triggers Atonement when used on targets in the execute range. That's really interesting. That's actually really interesting. And then you get this new talent called Wickedness. Divine Star and Halo now deal shadow damage. Again, you can buff that by pressing Shadow Covenant and pressing Schism into like a big Divine Star. Look at Wicked Star. This is completely insane. This is from the Anduin fight. Divine Star deals additional shadow damage over 6 seconds to enemies in its path. Enemies hit by Divine Star are silenced for 2 seconds. AoE silence. Divine Star is like a 15-second cooldown. Where is it? Where is it? I don't even have it right now. Divine Star is a 15-second cooldown, and it actually shares a row with Purge the Wicked. So you could get Purge the Wicked and Divine Star, and then turn it into Wicked Star and get an AoE silence. Isn't that bananas? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. The Divine Halo. Enemies damaged by Halo are dealt additional shadow damage over 6 seconds. Each enemy hit by Halo reduces its cooldown by 3 seconds, up to 15 seconds. Halo is a 40-second cooldown. So you're going to take 15 seconds off of that, make it a 25-second cooldown instead of... So now it's much more competitive with Divine Star. Divine Star is a 15-second cooldown. Halo would be a 25-second cooldown, more or less. That's pretty crazy. Because Halo has bigger numbers than Divine Star, right? But the bad part is that it's a 40-second cooldown. Bottom line, you can get this plus Purge the Wicked, and you can turn it into shadow damage, and then do 50% more shadow damage over here, and do 50% more damage, 50% more healing. It's bananas. This shadow side of the tree is bananas for Disc Priest, guys. It's really, really, really strong. What about the light side of the tree? Well, you can come over here and get Evenfall. Power Word Radiance has a 60% chance to grant Power of the Dark Side. Very good. You've already got the Penance buff over here anyway, so there's synergy right there. Right? You could just go over here and stop at Power of the Dark Side, or get Dark Indulgence maybe. Maybe even go all the way down to Swift Penitence. Penitence, sorry. And then forget about all this shadow garbage and go to the light side of the tree and start getting this stuff, right? You could do that. Then here's the last one, Harsh Discipline. When Atonement has healed a total of 100 times, your next penance fires 3 additional bolts and is free. That's 7 penance bolts. Are you kidding me, dude? Imagine that. You go big radiance into like Power Word Cheer. You're in a raid, let's say. You got like, you do Rapture, Power Word Cheer, Power Word Shield, Power Word Cheer, Power Word Shield, Power Word Shield, Radiance into the biggest penance of your life. 7 bolts of penance. What if it's got Power of the Dark Side? It does 50% increased damage. It's going to like full heal the entire raid. It's crazy. So that's a really, really cool combination there as well. If you don't want to do all this shadow nonsense that I'm talking about, you can go over here and just get this. Then we have Lenience again for free. You can get Spirit Shell or Evangelism and get Lenience. Here's something that's absolutely insane for Disc Priest that I didn't realize till I was going through the tree. Rapture is up here. You can get Rapture and then also get Spirit Shell. From my understanding, looking at this talent tree, this Spirit Shell does not replace Rapture. On the live game server on Shadowlands, if you take Spirit Shell, it replaces Rapture. So I believe in Dragonflight, you can get Rapture and Spirit Shell, and you could also buff Rapture. This is like the conduit in Shadowlands right now. So Rapture, instead of it being 8 seconds, it's 9 seconds. And then the Power Word Shield enhancement is bigger. I don't know if it's 7.5% of 200%, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. But you can get Spirit Shell and Rapture, which is... That's actually crazy. That's actually insane. That's not possible right now in the game. So that would be broken if that's possible. Okay. Then you have stuff like Sins of the Many, yada, yada, yada. This is actually quite wild too. Protector of the Frail. Power Word Shield reduces the cooldown of pain suppression by 4 seconds. It doesn't say that there's like a internal cooldown on that. So like again, this middle section here, you could do a Rapture build with Power Word Shield and big pain suppression. I mean, pain suppression is a 3-minute cooldown. So imagine it being maybe a 1-minute cooldown if you're using your Power Word Shields like crazy, right? And there's Barrier here with Lenience. And then finally, there's Light's Wrath. This is the final ability I want to talk about. Invoke Light's Wrath, dealing radiant damage to the target, increased by 10% per ally affected by your atonement. This is the artifact weapon from Legion, Light's Wrath for Disc Priest. Draws upon the power of Light's Wrath, dealing a buttload of damage, and then increases by 10% per ally affected by your atonement. So this is exactly what this is. This is another tool that Disc Priest has as another oh crap button, a really huge, enormous heal that you can send. And if you have a bunch of atonements out, it's even bigger. it'll heal everybody with your atonement on it. So if you have 5 atonements out, this does 50% more damage and thus 50% more healing. If you have 10 atonements out in a raid, 15 atonements out in a raid, this does 150% more damage and then heals everybody for 150% more. So there's some like Giga Chad build here where you could do like a big Rapture into double Radiance in a raid and then hit Light's Wrath into a 7-bolt Penance. And then you're just like literally overhealing the entire raid like in, I don't know, like way too much. But genuinely, let's say you instead had Spirit Shell up. So like you're in a raid, here's the combo. You're in a raid, you pop Spirit Shell, you go Rapture into Spirit Shell, and then you go Powered Shield, Powered Shield, Powered Shield, Powered Shield, Radiance, Radiance. That's 10 people with Radiance that now have Atonement, and maybe 4 Powered Shields, and then you hit Light's Wrath. And your Light's Wrath will do giga damage. It does like 90% more damage. And instead of healing everybody with Atonement, it puts a shield on them instead. That is the combo. Or if you don't have Light's Wrath, you could do the Penance, 7-bolt Penance, right? Into a Spirit Shell. Powered Shield, Powered Shield, Powered Shield, Powered Shield. Radiance, Radiance, 7-bolt Penance. For the biggest shields you've ever seen in your life. That's the kind of combos we're talking about with Disc Priest. That's what's possible with this spec. So it is incredibly cool. The combos are very, very good. You can go full Shadow Chad if you want to. You can go down the middle and grab stuff like Light's Wrath, your Barrier, your Rapture, your Pain Suppression. You can cool down Pain Suppression every time you use a Power Word Shield. You can go Giga Chad Penance to the left side and go extra Radiance over here. Purge the Wicked hits more targets. Your Penance fires 3 additional bolts. That is a legendary effect right now in Shadowlands. Your Power Radiance has a chance to give you Power of the Dark Side. There's all the Power of the Dark Side stuff. There's some janky, insane Mythic Plus stuff going on with Divine Star, making it shadow damage, getting 50% more shadow damage from Schism and Shadow Covenant. There's some really interesting stuff going on over there. There's obviously also Mind Blast that you can cast, getting buffs over here on your class tree from Mind Blast. There's the Power Infusion legendary effect that's going to be insane. Mind Games damage, Mind Bender damage with the Shadow Flame Prism. Guys, there are so many options for Disc Priest. There's a cool new talent, Inner Light and Shadow. I think Disc Priest is going to do absolutely massive amounts of damage, potentially, if you want it to, and massive amounts of healing and absorbs with big combos like double Radiance into Spirit Shell into Light's Wrath, Rapture into a 7-bolt Penance. Stuff like that is going to be really, really crazy for Disc Priest. So that's why I was saying earlier that I feel like the hybrid nature of Priest is going to lend itself to being much more sought after in Dragonflight. You could literally run a Disc Priest and a Shadow Priest in a dungeon, and you might have enough healing to get away with it. Like, or you would have more than enough healing, but like the damage coming out of a Disc Priest could be absolutely crazy. You could have a Disc Priest spec into all of their DPS buttons and a Shadow Priest spec a little bit into their healing stuff, and the two of them together could shore up whatever healing needs you have in the dungeon. So that's it for Disc Priest, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I think that Priest has been done incredibly, incredibly well. I'm very happy with the different combinations that you can do here. I think they've got lots of utility. I think there's some very clear dark side stuff, light side stuff going on. It's really good to see Light's Wrath back. It's really good to see this legendary effect from Shadowlands coming back for the big 7-bolt Penance. It's really cool to see them innovate and bring up this Wickedness Divine Star shenanigans that's going to be going on. All this stuff with Shadow Covenant and Schism. It looks really, really fun, and I can't wait to try it out, honestly. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you like this video, drop a like. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, I would really appreciate it. If you want to support the future of what I'm doing here, Patreon is the best way to do that. There's a link down below. Once again, guys, thank you so much. I love you all. I'll see you in the next one.